Where is God when it hurts? I mean, when it really hurts. I've had those moments when I felt like my suffering was so great that I couldn't stand it. And where was God? Why was he allowing this to happen? Do you remember when Jesus was on the cross and he said, my God, why have you forsaken me? It was a terrible moment of suffering for him. Now, theologians have done a really good job the last 2,000 years of explaining what that means theologically, that Jesus took on the sins of the world and God turned his face from him. And I believe all that's true. But I'll tell you what that statement is not. It is not a lack of faith. It is a psychological property of trauma to feel very, very alone. Because Jesus was fully man and fully God, he felt the full impact of trauma just like you and I do. C.S. Lewis, probably one of the greatest Christian authors of the last 100 years, has written a very important book in this area called The Problem of Pain. In that book, he explains how a loving God, who is also all-powerful, can allow suffering to exist. It's a very helpful book for us. But after he wrote that book, he fell in love, married a woman who sadly then died of cancer, and it broke his heart. He was devastated. Then C.S. Lewis wrote a book called A Grief Observed, and this is what C.S. Lewis says about his own suffering. Meanwhile, where is God? This is one of the most disquieting questions. When you are happy, so happy, that you have no sense of needing him, if you turn to him then with praise, you will be welcomed with open arms. But go to him when your need is desperate, when all other help is vain, and what do you find? A door slammed in your face, and the sound of bolting and double bolting on the inside. And after that, silence. You may as well turn away. C.S. Lewis has experienced the same kind of suffering that Jesus did on the cross. C.S. Lewis has felt so traumatized that he didn't know where God was in it. So what do we need to be better people, not bitter people as a result of our suffering? We need a good theology of suffering. Well, Martin Luther has done us a great service by developing what he calls the theology of the cross. He makes a very big deal out of Exodus 33, where Moses goes to God and he says, God, show me your face. I want to know who you are clearly. Show me in all your glory so I can know the true picture of the real God. And you remember what God says to him. He says, I could do that, but it would kill you. So he takes Moses and he puts him in the cleft of the rock and he passes by Moses, allowing Moses to see his backside. And then the light bulb went on for Martin Luther. He said, that's when God is most real. Not in all the glory times, not when things are going well, but if you can see God in your suffering, the backside of God, that's when God is most real. So Martin Luther would say to C.S. Lewis, you keep knocking on that door. You keep knocking and you persevere. Because perseverance is different than patience. Patience is waiting for God or someone else to do something. But perseverance means in the midst of your suffering, you get up in the morning, you wash your face, you suit up for life, and you keep knocking on that door looking for God. Because if you can find God in the midst of your suffering, then you will find the most real God that you can ever experience. And if you do that then, trust me, you'll become a better person and not a bitter one because of your pain. Did you know that the emotional part of your brain is many times faster than the thinking part of your brain? That scientific fact led me to write my new book, Spiritual Wisdom for a Happier Life, How Your 8 Key Emotions Can Work for You. I'm very excited to let you know that Revell is bringing that book here to the United States and publishing it in English because it has already been published in other languages and sold about 250,000 copies already. I believe that if you can harness the power of those 8 key emotions, you're going to live a fuller and richer life and be able to be, in a more complete way, the person that God has created you to be.